Hi, everybody, and welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Chef AJ, and my very special guest tonight is Rip Esselstyn. It's a shame that this podcast is audio only because he is one of the best-looking people in the plant-based movement. It's a shame that it's a shame that they won't see you, but soon we'll be doing these via, webinars so they can see you. If you don't know who he is, Rip was born in upstate New York, raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and educated at the University of Texas at Austin, where he was a 3-time All-American swimmer. After graduation, Rip spent a decade as one of the premier triathletes in the world and then joined the Austin Fire Department, where he introduced his passion for a whole food plant-based diet to Austin's Engine 2 Firehouse in order to rescue a firefighting brother's health. To document his success, he wrote the national best-selling book, The Engine 2 Diet, which shows the irrefutable connection between a plant-based diet and good health. Rip, thank you so much for being on the show.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with you, AJ.
And welcome. Hey, you're the last Esselstyn. Everybody else in the family has already done it. I finally got you, so that's great.
Last but not least, or what do they say? You're saving the best for last,
Exactly.
Right?
It was so funny when I had your dad on because we were talking about who was going to fill his shoes, and I was saying, well, Dr. McDougall has a son that's a doctor, and Dr. Campbell has a son that's a doctor. He goes, hey, wait a minute, I got a firefighter. So it was very cute when your dad was talking about you. You guys are awesome, like father, like son. We have so many questions from the listeners, so I'm just going to jump right in with the number one question that we get, but especially because you will be able to answer this because you have 3 small children, and everybody wants to know how, I had Rich roll on, and he has some children as well. Some of his are a little bit older than yours, but they want to know how the heck do you get your kids to eat a plant-based diet?
Yeah, I know a lot of people ask that. Well, you start them off when they're 7, 8 months old, when they first start to eat solid foods, eating only plant-strong, plant-based foods, and they develop a palate, and they don't really have any interest, I have found, with our kids. And just to backtrack a little bit, AJ, I've got 3 kids. I've got my oldest son is Cole, who recently turned 8, and then I've got my daughter Sophie, who recently turned 6, and then we've got Hope, who's about 1 year and 4 months old. And it's interesting, Cole and Sophie, who were completely raised this way, they have absolutely zero desire for meat, cheese, dairy products, any of that stuff. But they're not 100% saints either. They like their processed, refined, vegan junk foods, right? And at home they don't get much of that stuff. But when we're out, sometimes they'll get a vegan ice cream when we go out to get pizza. My wife and I, we get the cheeseless pizza, but they'll get the soy cheese, or occasionally even that disgusting, revolting diet cheese, right? And we let them do that. The cool thing about Hope, who's just a year and 4 months now, and she started wanting to eat solid foods at about 7.5 months.
Wow.
Is that her 2 favorite foods, and I'm not exaggerating. One is the Rip's Big Bowl, which we've commercialized the ingredients. We put it into a box and we sell it now at Whole Food Market stores. But we have 3 different versions of it. But it's her favorite thing in the morning is the Rip's Big Bowl cereal, and we put in the almond milk in there, and she holds the spoon herself and she just goes to town, and she loves it. And,
that is so.
But she also, what's that?
I said that's adorable.
It's totally adorable. And then her other favorite thing to eat is the lasagna. She loves the sweet potato lasagna, the raise the roof lasagna, from Engine 2. And then she loves pickles. She'll eat a whole jar of pickles. She loves every fruit imaginable, from watermelon, mango, oranges, apples. She loves beans. She loves broccoli. I mean, really, it's a great age because there's not a food that she doesn't like. Whereas Cole and Sophie, who are 6 and 8, they're going through that stage where the only green thing that they'll eat is broccoli or peas. They don't even want to do. They don't want anything to do with spinach or kale or anything that's kind of a green leafy vegetable. But they love.
Don't they know who their grandfather is? They have to eat greens. Their grandfather brother's Dr. Esselstyn. He insists that they eat greens 6 times a day.
Listen. I know, and we'll be visiting the Greens maestro here in a couple of weeks, and we'll see if he can talk some sense into these guys. But really, to me, the most important thing at this age is just developing their palate. You know, they have this mindset now where they're very, very proud of what I'm doing with Engine 2 and kind of inspiring and motivating people to eat healthier and to not eat animal products. And so they kind of have taken a lot of that on themselves, and so they have really, from what I have seen, they have no inclination whatsoever to try any of those foods. You know, they've never been exposed to McDonald's or Burger King or or any of those fast food restaurants. Although we have a lot of our friends who don't necessarily eat this way that say that they're going to hijack them and take them to McDonald's, and they it's like they think that's a funny joke, and we hear it 10 times a month. But no, having the 3 kids that eat this way, it is so much fun, and it's not a pain in the rear. We feel like we're doing absolutely the right thing. You know, we get all kinds of great feedback from them. Yes, we have some dinners where it's like, come on, you guys, you got to eat this, you got to eat that, and we're pulling our hair out. But for the most part, this has been it's been smooth sailing for us.
You mentioned that your little one loves the Rip's Big Bowl, which is now commercially available as a box cereal at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up, and I didn't personally eat Wheaties, but my brother did, and I remember seeing athletes on the box like Bruce Jenner and Mary Lou Retton. Does she understand that Daddy's picture is on the cereal box?
Oh, well, that's so nice that you asked, because every morning we'll put the back of the cereal box to her, and she'll go, Dada, Dada, Dada.
That's adorable.
It is. And, of course, that photo of me in my firefighter regala is on the back of just about every product that we have. So she's constantly seeing me all during the day, whether it's the almond milk or the crisp bread crackers or the cereals or the burgers or the all that stuff. Yeah.
It's going to be funny when she grows up and she goes to other people's homes to eat, and she's like, well, why isn't your dad on this,
I know. Well, let me one of the really cool stories that I can tell that not too many dads can say is that, so Hope is still, she's still breastfeeding from Jill, but she also likes the Engine 2 almond milk, which is, it's Dada's milk, right? So sometimes we'll say, so do you want Mama's milk or Daddy's milk?
That's cute. That's really cute. Tell us a little bit about the Engine 2 product line in case people aren't familiar. What products are available? What is the like what are they specifically? And maybe name some of your favorites.
Yeah. So we now have I think we have 10 different categories of products now that are exclusive to Whole Foods Market. We have everything from cereals. We have the Rip's Big Bowl cereals. We have 3 varieties. We have a banana walnut. We have the original, which is raisin. And then we also have the triple berry. It's a combination of strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. And then we have the almond milks. We have 2 different flavors of almond milk, both unsweetened, the vanilla and original. We have 3 different varieties of crisp bread crackers that are let me backtrack for a sec. And all these products, as I'm sure you're well aware, AJ, and your listeners, they're 100% plant-based, so there's no animal products in any of them. And there's no refined flour, so everything's 100% whole grain. Everything is low fat. We have no added sugars except for one product where we have a vegan cane sugar. It's the second to the last ingredient, but that's only in one of the latest products that we have. We really try and keep the sodium as low as possible, and everything is either organic or non-GMO verified. So these are really, really, really clean plant-based products. and I'm very, very proud of them. But so we got the crisp bread crackers, the almond milks, we have the cereals, we have the hummuses, no added oils. Yes. Also, none of our products have any added oils. That's a big no-no in with Engine 2 and my father and, and McDougall and you and a lot of this, this camp is we don't do added oils because they're just, the most calorie-dense things on the planet. And then the hummuses, we have 5 different flavors of hummus. We have frozen grain medleys that you can just put in a skillet and they can be ready in about 3 minutes. We have 3 different varieties of those. Our most popular one of those is a brown rice, black bean, red bell pepper, green bell pepper, corn, and poblano pepper. That kind of serves as a nice foundation for a meal. We have frozen Engine 2 Plant Strong burgers, and we have 4 different varieties. Our most popular is the black bean poblano. My favorite is the Thai basil edamame. We're coming out with 2 new ones: a pinto bean habanero and an Italian fennel. Those will be available in about a week. We recently just added 100% whole grain sprouted hamburger buns and 100% whole grain pizza crust. We also have
you have tortillas too. Yeah, I've seen tortillas.
And we have wraps. We have tortillas. We have a 100% sprouted ancient grain tortilla, and we also have a gluten-free brown rice tortilla. The most recent product that we came out with that I mentioned that has a little bit of added sugar in it are these pop crisps. It's a bit of a snack food, and we have a cinnamon sweet potato, and we have a purple corn quinoa and garlic hitting the shelves in about 2 months. We have waffles, and these are no added sweeteners. Instead, we have banana and we have applesauce.
Ooh, I haven't. Those sound great. My husband loves waffles. I haven't seen those yet. Are those available yet?
In about 2 months.
That's
in about
great.
2 months.
What is the best-selling? Which of all the products is the best-selling one?
Well, you know what? It's funny. The best-selling product of everything that we have, and it's been on the shelf probably the longest, is, believe it or not, it's the gluten-free brown rice tortilla.
I believe it.
And it's, I think it's kind of just, we're capturing the gluten-free craze that's going on right now, in large part. It's also a very, very good product, but I will tell you that because it doesn't have any oil, it does crack easily. So to prevent the cracking and to increase the performance, you want to throw it in a saucepan for 10, 15 seconds on each side at medium high, and then it doesn't crack and it actually brings out the flavor. Or you could even throw it in the microwave for just 10 seconds. Our next best-selling product is a triple berry Rip's Big Bowl cereal that is doing very, very well. Although my favorite is the banana walnut.
Yeah. You say to prevent cracking and increase performance, you were talking about the tortillas, right?
I was.
I know
funny.
you. Go ahead.
It's funny. I haven't been around you enough lately, AJ, but I have to remind myself of where your mind goes occasionally.
You set me up for that one, dude. What can I tell you? So getting back to the kids, your kids were, you have 3 brothers and sisters, right? Now you guys weren't born into the plant-based diet, right? You guys were either teenagers or early 20s when your family decided to adopt it. If I'm not mistaken.
We were not even close born into the plant-based diet. As a matter of fact, we ate everything under the sun. The only 2 things that my parents really didn't allow in the house was soda pop and white bread. And other than that, we did, BLTs, we did roast beef, we did steak, we did filet mignons, we did grilled cheese sandwiches, we did bacon and eggs and sausage. We did it all. And then that all came to a screeching halt in 1984 when my father started that research at the Cleveland Clinic that would become so, kind of revolutionary and groundbreaking. And I kind of jumped into this full scale in 1987 when I graduated from the University of Texas.
Now, so you guys were already all out of the house, right?
Everybody except for my youngest brother, Zeb.
Right.
And so I got exposed to it for a number of years when I would come home for the holidays or the summertime from the University of Texas. And AJ, my mom, Ann, she's fearless in the kitchen. She'll try anything, and she made a lot of amazing dishes, and we were like, wow, this isn't that bad. This actually will work, and we all felt great. And so yeah, I mean, Anne was so instrumental in making this happen. Essie was the scientist, the clinician, the motivating force behind the whole the concept of eating this way and eating this way to save your heart and for health reasons. But Anne is the one that really kind of, made it happen.
Yeah, your mom's recipes really are among the best out there. I mean, her new book, especially her Eat Loaf, she's just a genius in the kitchen. I can't say enough good things about her food. She's amazing. So are all your siblings and their children, it's a whole Plant Strong clan, everybody?
Mm-hmm. Everybody's absolutely on board with this lifestyle. Jane, my sister Jane, and her husband Brian, and they have 3 kids, and these kids are, they've been Plant Strong their whole life as well. And just to brag on them just for a little bit, Kyle, who is Jane's oldest, who is 16, has won the swimming state championships for the state of Ohio the last 2 years, and she's just a sophomore now, and she's almost 6 feet tall. She's this, like Amazon woman, and she's just amazing. Her brother Zeb is almost 6'6", and he's 15, and he's another great swimmer. He loves lacrosse. And then Danon is another amazing athlete, and so anyway, you just have these extraordinary, kids that are doing amazing things. And then my other brother Zeb has a young 3-year-old girl named Georgie, and Georgie's all plant-based, and Zeb and his wife Polly are 100% on board with this. And then my other brother Ted, who's 11 months younger than I am, and his wife Ann, they have 3 children who are now, 2 of them are off to college, and they're all plant-based as well. It's really amazing how the family has completely rallied around this this lifestyle and everything that it has meant to my father, and we're just
so great. Yeah. It's the same thing happened with the Campbell family. You guys, I would love to see an episode of Family Feud with Steve Harvey, the Esselstyns against the Campbells. That would be like my dream, because you guys have such parallel lives.
Steve Harvey? I thought it was. Is Richard Dawson no longer the host?
He passed away a long time ago. You know what? Maybe we can get you guys together and I'll MC it, because I think that you guys have such similar, just trajectories. Because I interview a lot of people on the show, a lot of them plant-based doctors, and they can't get anybody in there. Some of them can't even get their wives to go plant-based, let alone their children who are still living at home. Yet all 4 of you were already pretty much adults and still did it. I mean, it's just what your dad teaches to me is so compelling that when you hear it, it's like, whoa. I mean, I was already obviously, I think I was vegan for probably over 30 years when I first heard your dad speak in 2008. But the minute I heard him talk, I gave up oil the next meal. And I kind of knew that oil was fattening, from Dr. McDougall saying the fat you eat is the fat you wear. But I was not really aware until I heard your dad speak in the summer of 2008 that it really contributed and caused heart disease and diabetes. And I didn't have any bad numbers or anything. But when I heard him speak, it was like, okay, my husband and I said, well, why wouldn't we eat in a manner that would guarantee us to never have a heart attack or stroke? To me, it makes so much sense. And why everybody else isn't doing it, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that you should definitely be the host for the Family Feud between the Esselstyns and the Campbells, and you'll have to take off where Richard Dawson left off, and be sure to kiss every participant right on the lips.
Hey, you know it. It had both hands of families. You got it. You mentioned that 3 of your nieces and nephews were like Plant Strong athletes. You yourself were an award-winning triathlete. Your dad was a gold medal winner. You think that part of that is a little bit genetic, your guys' love for exercise? Because I eat great, but I mean, it took me like over 50 years to get bitten by the exercise bug. And your dad's like racing bikes down the street in Cleveland, and your mom is, your parents are in there like, I know your dad's like 81, I believe. Your mom's probably pretty close to that. They exercise like crazy. Is this just something that, even though you guys weren't Plant Strong at the beginning, was this something that was instilled in your family as children, the importance of physical activity? Because you all seem to have it in your family.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, that's one of the things that we it's just always been a part of our family is moving, and whether it was the swim team growing up, whether it was doing tennis lessons, whether it was little league baseball, playing soccer. I think all three of us in high school we did three different sports, whether it was like, for example, I did soccer in the fall, I swam in the winter, and then I did tennis in the spring. We all, I think for us, our outlet and our release in life has always been exercise. And it's an important part of every day for us. And, my father, he was the Yale handball champion. He was ambidextrous. He could use his right hand as well as his left hand. He won a gold medal in crew. He's just always been an exceptional athlete in everything he does. So there's a certain genetic component, absolutely, to that. And a lot of it too, though, AJ, is when you're exposed to it your whole life, you jump in and you join in as well. And so I think that's in large part why Jane's kids, ever since they were, 5, 6, 7, they've been doing swim team, swim league, and you do something long enough, and a lot of times you get good. And then to boot, on top of all that, you start eating this way, which to me, more and more athletes are going to be realizing that, if you're looking for optimal performance in a clean burning fuel that will allow you to recover quicker, to totally help to neutralize all the oxidative stress that we build up during the day, just living, that a plant-based diet is absolutely 100% the way to go. And, I'm actually involved right now, AJ, with a very, very exciting documentary where we're going to be just going around and dismantling this whole notion that real men eat meat for performance. And the reality is that the real men eat plants. And we're going to be documenting and showing a lot of the best Olympians, world record holders, world strongmen, and it's going to be a very, very exciting film.
I thank you for that because, as I said to Rich Roll, I really thank you guys for doing what you're doing because, I can tell people all day to eat plants, but, and I'll get a lot of ladies to follow me because they want to lose weight, but I don't really think I'm going to influence a lot of guys. And before you guys came along, I really think it helps because you guys are so good looking, you're passionate, you're fit, and, people like Robert Cheek, they see this and they're like, hey, maybe there is a different way to do that. I was on the plant-based cruise this year. Robert Cheek was there. Dr. Campbell, your dad and mom were there. And and it was really funny because I met an Olympian, not other than your dad. There just happened to be a man on the ship who was on vacation with his girlfriend, a gorgeous man named Nelson Ivora, who is the triple jump gold medal winner from the country of Brazil. And I didn't know that. I didn't recognize him. I just started talking to him because he was friendly. And I introduced him to Dr. Campbell because I was, and all the athletes on the ship, like Derek Treesides, because I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be great? Because, your dad's probably not going to do another Olympics. Wouldn't it be great if we got another gold medal winner to go plant-based? And I had them talking to him about how, as great as he was, how his performance would probably improve. And the funny thing is his coach was actually vegan. So I wanted to ask you is when you went plant-based, you did all these triathlons, did your performance actually improve? Because a lot of people are worried that, without meat, their performance is going to suffer.
Well, you know what? I didn't have anything to compare it to because I just finished a 4 years at University of Texas at Austin where I was there on a swimming scholarship, and I ate on the athletic training table. And so I was eating with the football players and the basketball players and the baseball players, and, the swimmers were there and the tennis players. And every meal, it was, breakfast was bacon and eggs and, crappy sugary cereals. And lunch was, hamburgers and French fries and iceberg lettuce with ranch dressing. And dinners were steak and chicken and meatloafs, it was amazing what they fed these all-star athletes. And then I immediately, as soon as I got out of there, I started eating plant-based 100%. And so I don't have anything to compare it to as a triathlete.
Sure.
And plus I was 23 and a half,
right,
24 years old, and when you're that young, it's amazing what you can get away with.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't it like Edwin Moses that said that these athletes compete, in spite of their bad diet, that not because of it, that's, but in spite of it. Something
exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you hear these stories of people like Michael Phelps and how, he goes to McDonald's, I don't know how many times a week. And
wow.
it's like you feel like saying, hey, dude, I mean, God, if you were putting, premium fuel into your body, imagine how much faster you could go and how much better you could recover and all that. So, yeah, it's a bit of a crying shame. Yeah.
You mentioned ranch dressing. Any chance that your Engine 2 product line will come out with a ranch dressing? Because, I'm allergic to soy, and almost every, creamy dressing has soy in it. And do you have any Engine 2 salad dressings? Because I think that's a big missing in the market, some delicious oil-free dressings. Like in your book, there's delicious oil-free dressings. The one in your mom's new book, I think it's called Essie's Favorite Dressing, delicious. But I bet people would buy that if they could get it commercially.
Yeah, no, we've been working on getting a good shelf-stable dressing. It's just it's challenging having something that's shelf-stable that you can get that's really worth a darn and decent. We've gone through a couple different iterations where we did this like 2 years ago, but when it was all said and done, I just wasn't happy enough with the end product. But we're going to revisit that. It's one of the things we're looking at for 2016 and 2017 is salad dressings.
Great.
But right now, we're working on soups. We're working on frozen entrees. We're working on more tortillas. We're working on some 100% whole grain pretzel with no added sodium. I mean, it's just on and on the different things we're looking at right now. We're looking at doing some burritos, some great plant strong, burritos, breakfast, lunch type burritos that you can just, heat up, and then you've got yourself a nice, delicious either breakfast or lunch. But yeah, the salad dressings I would love to visit with you on getting a good recipe for a fake ranch.
Yeah, I think the shelf-stable part's going to be the hard part, because then you need to put some stuff in that not everybody loves. You know what I mean? I think that's why sometimes refrigerated dressings are better for the way we eat, or just in general tastier. But I know that seems to be the hardest thing for people just transitioning is a good oil-free dressing, and not everybody wants to make one themselves.
Yeah. No, we're definitely. I mean, we visited the refrigerated as well. It's just. There you run into price points, especially.
Yeah, sure.
And with Engine 2, I mean, listen, AJ, I had no experience in the food business, 5-6 years ago, and it's amazing how much I've learned in the last 5 or 6 years. But when you're trying to find a supplier to make you these products, and they've had no experience using, these kinds of ingredients, and then when they source these ingredients, all of a sudden you look at what your cost is. And then, the margin that the stores want to make, and all of a sudden it's like, well, this isn't realistic. I mean, I don't want to be selling a dressing for $12.99 to customers. So you run into a lot of challenges. People will say, hey, Rip, make one of these or make this or make this. And it's like, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. So there's a lot of considerations that you have to look into.
So Engine 2 is the name of your product line. It was the name of your first best-selling book, and it's the name, I believe, of the fire station that you worked at. So were you okay? It's okay to use that name? Are they cool about it? Are they happy that you're using that name, or did you have to get it licensed? Because I think about when I was little, the band Chicago, best-selling. They actually used to be called Chicago Transit Authority, and they were sued by the Chicago bus or whatever system. They couldn't use the name, and then they became a big hit, and then they were like, okay, you can use our name, and they're like, no, forget it. So I'm just curious, are they happy that you're using that name, or they don't care? Or?
Well, if they're happy, you know what? as far as I know, nobody has said anything about it. I do have, trademarks on Engine 2 and Plant Strong in the food arena. No, I think for the most part, AJ, the people that I was in the fire department with and that were part of Engine 2 and are very, I think they're happy for me, and they love that, the Engine 2 name is out there. We did an amazing thing.
Yeah,
and,
that's a great story.
At Fire Station 2, we did what many people think was, the impossible, and that was to get a bunch of Texas male firefighters in this, the meat-eating capital, really, of the United States, to start eating Plant Strong. So
if you'd only known, that could have almost been a documentary in itself. It is such a great.
I know it could have been. It totally could have been.
Are you in touch with any of your firefighting brothers, and did many of them remain Plant Strong? And are they still working?
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, I played poker last night with one of the guys from that used to be at Engine. It's funny. There's none of the guys that I was there at Engine 2 with for those Plant Strong years between 2003 and 2009 are there anymore. They've either retired, they've promoted, they've gone on to other stations, or one of the guys transferred. But no, one of the guys, Matt Moore, I played poker with him last night, and he is still Plant Strong. JR, I actually was just going to make dinner for those guys. He's now a captain at Station 14, and I was going to go make a dinner, a Plant Strong dinner for those guys. A couple of weeks ago, some things came up, so had to reschedule it. But I'm going to go visit JR and see how he's doing. The cool thing
is JR. Yeah. Is JR the one that had the high cholesterol in the first place that started the bet?
That was kind of the whole pivotal kind of moment was when JR got that high cholesterol reading back to 344.
Wow.
Yeah. But I've been to some retirement parties here in the last 3 weeks, and so I visited with a lot of people in the fire department that have embraced this lifestyle. It's remarkable to me how in 1997, when I was one of 1,000 firefighters that was eating this way, and I got ridiculed and made fun of more than any human being deserves. I mean, you could not find a more hostile environment to be eating this way. And now, 16 years later, you've got a culture that basically understands this way of eating, semi-embraces it, and you have a lot of the firefighters that are either doing it, have done it, and have had their eyes opened to a kind of a smarter, more intelligent way of eating food.
Well, you think because so many of the calls, at least for the ones that are paramedics, are from people like having heart attacks from eating the bad food.
Well, yes. I mean, that's one of the things I always talk about is how as firefighters, we're also EMTs and paramedics, and we make 80% of our call volume are heart attacks, diabetic emergencies, lifting assistance, chest pain, everything related to people eating the standard American diet.
Mm. I was wondering, do any of the ones that are still around just ever slip them your book? Like they're on a call and they go, here, when you get better, read this book. Because I think about your mom, the time that she broke her hip in 2009, the day after you guys came for dinner, when you and Essie were speaking at Pierce College at an event. And I'll never forget that you guys were kind of looking and is she going to be okay? But she's on the stretcher and she all she's doing is talking about you. And he goes, my son's a firefighter, and she's telling them about your book. It was adorable. It was hilarious, trying to get them to, using an opportunity like that. And she's so great. Hey,
but you're right. I mean, the kind of the irony here is that here you have these paramedics and you have these firefighters that are going out and they're helping people and they're saving lives. But the sad reality is that the majority of firefighters across the country and even paramedics, they're they're more obese and they're more overweight than America at large. And they have, metabolic syndrome, and they're pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic, and they have high cholesterol, and they have high blood pressure, and they're sleep deprived, and they eat the toxic American diet. And I like to say that firehouses across America are the dumping ground for America's leftover kind of toxic waste. And so when you're in the firehouse, you're nervous, and you're wandering around, and you don't know when the tone's going to go off and what it's going to be. And so you typically float to the kitchen and you start nibbling on food. And when there's a big thing of chocolate chip cookies or a big cheese pepperoni pizza, or some sort of a nasty ranch casserole, I'm not saying that I would eat that stuff, but people tend to eat that, and it's unfortunate.
I can attest to what you said about firefighters not having the best diet, because a while back there was a heroic rescue done during a very rainy time here in LA. When it rains here, people just can't. Everything shuts down because it almost never rains, and so this large dog got stuck in the river, and we were watching it like people watch car chases all day. This dog being dragged through the river, and they had a heroic rescue by a firefighter here with the air, and he rescued the dog, and it was a happy ending, and people gave all kinds of money to whatever to help the dog and help the firefighter. And I found the guy on Facebook, and I was just touched by the story because I love animals, and I said, I'm a chef, I would, and your fire station is like within 5 miles from my house, I would love to just come and cook you guys a meal. And they said fine. Of course, it was an oil-free, plant-strong meal. And when I got there and looked in the cupboards, okay, I can understand people eat bread and people eat peanut butter, but it was the worst of the worst. It was Skippy peanut butter, hydrogenated oil and sugar. It was Wonder Bread. I mean, even the oil, not that anybody should eat oil, but it was like Wesson oil. It was just the crappiest of the crap food. And I'm like, you guys really eat this stuff? It's crazy.
Oh, it is. It is. No, I mean, you take how a typical American eats, and it is like that, like on steroids for firefighters. I mean, everything is deep fried. If you're going to have a baked potato, the only way it's going to be good is if you put half a stick of butter in it. It's got to have 3 big dollops of sour cream, and then bacon bits and cheese slices. I mean, it's insanity.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, because you had mentioned when your dad came to the conclusion of the connection between diet and disease, and you guys followed in his path. Did you guys go from eating your standard American diet to the diet you eat today, which is the oil-free, whole food, plant-based diet, or was there a transition period? Because your dad really is the one that talks so much about the processed oils. So did you immediately go from point A to point B, or were there some steps along the way?
No, there were definitely some steps along the way. Frankly, I can't remember with the oil if that was immediate or not. But I do know, for example, that my father started this in 1984, and I don't think it was until 1989 or 1990 that he completely 100% dropped the skim milk and the low fat, yogurts and stuff like that. And I think that was in large part because in 1989 he held the first conference on the elimination of coronary artery disease in Tucson, Arizona, and one of the people he invited was Colin Campbell, and that's when he learned all about casein being the dominant protein in all dairy products, that was the number one carcinogen in the American diet, and how it could turn cancer on. And I think at that point he made the commitment to drop every last bit of dairy products.
Fantastic, yeah, that's terrific. So,
but I can't remember when the oil, if it was immediate or if that was a couple-year process as well.
So when I don't know if you really work with people, obviously individually, but when you're talking to people, whether they're firefighters or people you meet, do you recommend that they immediately just adopt any form of a plant-based diet, or do you kind of explain the oil thing at the beginning?
Oh, no. I mean, when I'm talking to people, I'm usually trying to, sell them on doing the Engine 2 28-day challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them how I'm not a fan of baby steps. I think that you should jump all in and do it, with your full full most effort and gusto. And I said, then, when you jump in and you do it full kale, then you get all these transformative results, right?
Sure.
Whereas if you take baby steps, you get baby results, and it doesn't, you're like, I tried that and it didn't really work for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what about parents with children though, Rip? Because I know you were fortunate enough that your kids were born into this way of eating, but a lot of people struggle because they made the change as adults and they have kids at various ages and the kids just don't seem to have an interest. So in the case of working with a kid, maybe the kid is not overweight and doesn't have any disease yet. Would you still just say, hey, jump in all kale or because that's really the number one question. Parents struggle getting their kids to eat this way if they weren't born into it. You think the palate's bad for vegetables for people born into it. Well, can you imagine if you're eating the McDonald's every day?
You know what? It is. I mean, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's depending upon, what your work schedule is like, how stressed you are in life, what kind of a commitment you want to make to this. You've got people on, one end of the spectrum like Doug Lyle that really believes that, what they eat now is really not going to harm them. The only place where he really puts his foot down is with dairy products, right? Because of the chance there that they can become a type 1 diabetic.
Sure.
But he said otherwise, I really wouldn't sweat it that much. I take more of a hardline approach. I'm like, listen, talk to your kids, let them know that this is the research, and we love you guys more than anything that you can imagine, and we want the best for you, and we want to kind of basically set you up with a foundation that will last you a lifetime. And so in this household, we're not going to have, meat. We're not going to have dairy products. We're not going to do, French fries. We're not going to do ice cream. Like I said earlier, AJ, we're not perfect. I mean, we do have, some chips in the house, right, for the kids. We have some crackers that aren't, Engine 2. We have some of the field roast, vegan hot dogs that they like. But we're not going to cross that line when it comes to bringing in animal products into our household. So I just think, it all depends upon your personality, the personality of the house. To me, what's going on in your life, how stressed out you are, because you don't want this to be something that's really divisive in your house.
Yeah, battle.
Especially with your spouse, right? And I know that's a real issue for a lot of people as well.
A lot of people are in mixed marriages, sure.
Yeah, so to me, you almost have to take every one of these cases on an individual basis and see what works. But I think that the more that you can fall in line with doing this as close to 100% as possible, I think personally my view is the better. But
great.
Yeah.
One of the listeners wanted to know if you could just briefly describe what a day's worth of food and exercise might look like for you.
Well, sure. I can just tell you what I did today. So today
Great.
I got up at 6:45. I put on my tie pants. I jumped in my car. I drove down to the Master Swim program. It's about 10 minutes away. I swam for an hour.
Wow.
I went a little over 2 miles with a group of about 30 other swimmers. And then I got out and I did some dry land. I'm just getting back into pull-ups, and so I did 4 sets of 5 pull-ups, which is pretty tame. And then I did a bunch of ab work and push-ups with three other guys. Then I drove into work. For lunch, I went down into Whole Foods Market store, and they have a great venue there called the Eat Well Bar, and I got a sweet potato bowl. So the bottom of it was just a sweet potato, and then I put brown rice.
Yum.
Then I put black beans, cannellini beans, then steamed kale.
Oh boy.
Then sliced tofu, and then I had a little bit of a marinara sauce, and then I had more kale, but it was actually kale that was laced with avocado. So it's kind of that a kale avocado. And that was my lunch, along with an orange and a banana. And then tonight we have a pool in our backyard, and we played with the kids in the backyard, and we had a barbecue, and we barbecued corn on the cob, Engine 2 burgers, Engine 2 buns, a big old salad with spring greens and bell peppers and tomatoes, and then we had all the toppings for the burgers. We had the grilled onions, and we had the tomatoes, and we had guacamole, and we had pickles.
You're pickles.
Yeah, these are these crazy pickles. They have all different flavors. We had a jalapeno. I can't remember. It's a jalapeno flavored pickle, and it was really good. But and then for dessert, we were making our own ice cream. We had some friends over, some next door neighbors, and we were doing the Yonana machine, and
love it,
with frozen bananas and frozen raspberries and strawberries.
That
was today. So it was. Oh, I forgot to tell you about breakfast. Breakfast I always do in the office, and I bring in my own fruit, and then I always have the Rip's Big Bowl. I have a huge bowl of that, and then on top of that I put frozen blueberries, a banana, and then some almond milk.
And the breakfast is after you've exercised, right? After.
The breakfast is after I have exercised, as soon as I get into work, usually about 8:30.
So your lunch sounds amazing, Rip. Is there any way you can get that Eat Well bar out here? Because I would eat that every day.
Well, and I'd say I eat that probably 3 days a week, and it's, I'm very fortunate that I just, I have an office at Whole Foods, and I just come downstairs and I go there, and it's just, it's heaven. It's heavenly. It really is.
Sounds amazing.
And hey, AJ, which is your Whole Food? Which Whole Foods do you go to?
Well, I live closest to the two in Sherman Oaks, but I'd even travel as far as the big one in Pasadena to get the lunch you described. It sounds amazing. I mean, it's not that I can't make it; I can, but it's so convenient when they're, you've got the options there.
Oh yeah. No, I'll make some calls on your behalf.
Oh my God, thank you so much. So who cooks at your house? Is it Jill or you, or both?
Well, you know what? It's funny. So when Jill and I were going out, when we first started dating each other back in 2002, when I was a firefighter, up until probably 2008, I did all the cooking. Right? I mean, I had the time. I had the let's just say the inclination. I loved doing it. And then once, it's kind of ironic, but once I wrote the book, and since 2009, and since we had kids, and since I started working and traveling a bunch, Jill has actually been doing the lion's share of the cooking, and she's done a remarkable job with it. So it's kind of flip-flops now to where Jill's doing most of the cooking.
Okay, well, so that sounds great. So you do so many things, Rip. You're on TV, radio, you run in-person programs, you got a product line, you're writing best-selling books. Is there something that you enjoy the most of all the many things you do and all the many hats you wear?
You know what I would have to say, AJ, is that it's kind of like being a triathlete. Like, people would ask me, what was your favorite sport of the three?
I was going to ask
biking
you
or running.
I actually was looking at that.
and the nice thing is that, you know what, I love the balance. The beauty was really, it was in the balance. And I love the fact that, when you started getting burned out on maybe swimming, you'd spend a day or two biking, and then you'd run, and so you never really got overtrained on the bike or on the run. I was never plagued with injuries because my body was always being exposed to these different movements, these different what's the word I'm looking? These different mediums, right? And the water's the friendliest medium, in the world. And then you have the bike where there's almost virtually no pounding whatsoever. And then the running, but if you're only running, 30 to 35 miles a week, 40 at the upper end, I'm just saying, but it's hard to get injured. And so I would say the same thing here. I love the fact that I am constantly growing. I'm constantly expanding. I'm working on the food line, and I'm learning all about that. One of my relationships with Whole Foods is that I go out and I visit with the team member base. I have a lot of customer-facing presentations. AJ, I've seen you at several of those when I've been out at like the Venice store, and so I get to mix it up with a lot of people and give presentations, which I love as well. I do these events, and I'm really looking forward to doing the Two Forks events with you this year.
Right, that's what I'd love for you to talk a little bit in more detail about what your live events are, where they are, a little bit more in detail what happens at them, and how people can sign up for them.
Yeah. So we've partnered with Forks Over Knives, as we've actually been partnering with them now for a number of years. But this year we actually changed our name, and it's Two Forks, and it's kind of a combination of Engine 2 and Forks Over Knives, and it's called the Two Forks Food Conference. And really, to be quite truthful, AJ, it's kind of almost it's a playbook out of the Healthy Taste of LA. But it's 2 days long. We're bringing in some of the best chefs that we know to do a lot of great food demos, and we're also bringing in a lot of the scientists and the clinicians. So it's a nice combination of food demos and the scientific talks. The first days are pretty much scientific heavy, although we do have usually 2 demos on the first day. And then the second day is really exclusively food demos. For example, this year, AJ, we have you. You're going to be the food host, kind of along with myself. We also have Jeff Dell, who's done
awesome.
the 360. He did the Forks Over Knives, cookbook. We have my sister Jane and my mother Ann. We have Darshana Thacker, right, who's the great Indian chef, and that's pretty much, the chefs that are going to be going at it. We're going to have a really, really fun competition at the end of the last day. It's going to be our chop cooking competition, and we're going to pit all of you guys against each other.
Yes,
and you're going to have to make. We're going to give you a box of ingredients. You're going to have limited time to make, a delicious, savory meal. First an appetizer, next an entree, and then finally a dessert. And one chef will be eliminated after each round until there's only one chef standing.
No pressure there. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And where will these great events be taking place, and how can people sign up for them?
Yeah, thank you. So first event's going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, in our old backyard, stomping ground. And it's going to be October 24th to 25th. And then the next one's going to be in Pasadena, California, kind of in your backyard.
Yeah.
And that'll be November 21st and 22nd of this year. And to sign up, you can go to twoforksconference.com, or you can go to engine2.com, and in the menu you can just click on events. And we just actually went live with this website, AJ, yesterday.
Right.
So yeah. And it's going to be it's a lot of fun, a lot of food. People are going to get to taste just about every demo that you or Darshana or Ann or Essie or Chef Dell makes. So it should be an exciting, fun, energy-filled weekend. And I love the fact that you're going to be joining us. We also, just so you know, we still have some spots available for Plant Stock, which is held on our family farm in Claverack, New York. This will be our 4th year having it. And it is, we have kind of the rock stars of the plant-based world. They're there. We're going to have Colin Campbell. We're going to have his son Tom.
Nice.
Obviously, we're going to have my father. We're going to have Neil Barnard. We're going to have Doug Lyle. We're going to have the new kind of rising cardiologist star on the block, Robert Osfeld.
Love him. Yep.
Who's great. And we're going to have my mom and Jane. And also, I know one of your favorites, AJ, we're going to have Howard Lyman. He's going to be coming with his wife.
He's so passionate. I love that guy so much.
Yeah. But that event is held, at our farm in a big, amazing circus tent. And we typically have hundreds of people that show up, and we have an absolute barrel of a time.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
But so I do the events, and then also, AJ, I'm working on 2 more books. And
You're kidding? Are you allowed to say what they're about? Are they?
You know what? I prefer not to right now, but they're very, very exciting. They'll be coming out in 2017. and then also working on that documentary I talked to you about. So it's really it's a triathlon of sorts where I never get burned out or too tired on one aspect of just of Engine 2, because there's so many basically plates that I have that I'm twirling right now.
Wow, it sounds like you're never bored.
No, and then I've got this amazing family with 3 kids under the age of 8.
Yeah,
so I mean,
yeah. Tell me about it. Do you remember, Rip, what you wanted to be when you grew up, when you were little, and did that manifest, or are you doing something completely different than you ever thought you would?
Oh, AJ, you asked such great questions.
Well, that's the host.
You know what? I would have to say that I never did, but I knew that somehow or another that I was not going to be destined to a desk job, because I just felt like it would slowly be somehow robbing my soul, unless it was the right one. But I never had any desire to be a doctor. All I knew is that I wanted every day to be motivated and to be excited to get up.
Yeah,
right?
That's great.
And as a triathlete for 10 years, that's how I was. And then as a firefighter, that's what I loved, is that no 2 shifts were ever the same. And then when I got this opportunity to basically do Engine 2 full time and take this message out to as many people as possible because of the opportunity Whole Foods Market gave me, I jumped at it. And again, it's like no 2 days are ever the same. I'm on the road. I'm working on food. I'm working on how do we market the national challenge. I mean, it's fantastic. So no, I never knew what I was going to be, except for I think I sensed that I wanted to do something that I was passionate about.
And you do, and thank you for what you do. Congratulations on all your success and your family. You guys are just awesome, and I just love you all so much. So one of the things I always ask, because we're almost out of time, to just about everybody that I interview, is who in your life has inspired you the most? It could be somebody living, dead. Sometimes people say people they've never even met, like that has inspired them. But I just like to know that.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I'll just have to say it's probably been my dad.
I knew you were going to say that for some reason, but that's awesome. I love him. I look back on my life and how he has just been such a great role model. And now that I have kids of my own, it's like I one of the things I realize is that everything that I'm doing with Engine 2 and everything, it's fantastic. But really, at the end of the day, the thing that will give me absolutely the most joy when it's all said and done is that I've been a good father to my kids, and I've spent enough time with them, and I've been there for them. And so far, I think I've done a pretty darn good job with that. My father has, he's just always been a hero to me. I've always looked up to him. Well, you have like 7 feet tall. You have no choice.
I know, but between everything that he's accomplished in life, and how when I look at his values and his morals and his moral compass, and just the amount of just the ethics and the credibility that he has, and how he really never compromises those things. I couldn't have asked for a better role model as a father. And look where I am. And, I've basically gone down the same path he has, but just in a different way. And
you guys sort of have parallel lives in a way, because like you being like, the firefighter that doesn't eat meat, and him being the, the doctor that doesn't, you both kind of, there's some similarities there. Plus you're both gorgeous. So you can thank him for that, I'm sure. When I was at your house in Cleveland, I saw pictures of him when he was in the Olympics. And I mean, he looked like a movie star. So you got to thank him. But I'm going to tell you something about your dad that you may not know, because I doubt he would share it because he's so humble. And I think that I'm sure we've had him on the show, and I'm sure the listeners are already in love with him. But if they weren't, when I tell you this, your heart's just going to melt. So I have filmed 6 episodes of my television show, Healthy Living. You were supposed to be on. Your plane couldn't land, so you sent John Joseph in your place. He did great, but your dad and Colin did 3 episodes. And while we were on a break, and nobody was listening, by the way, so there was nobody there but me and Essie, and we were just chatting while they were, on a commercial break. And I said to him, because we were talking about the, winning the gold medal in the Olympics, and I said to him, so Essie, was winning the Olympic gold medal the greatest moment of your life? And he said, no, it was meeting Anne.
I know.
And I just wanted to cry. It's like, who says that? And he was so sincere. And it's like, anyway, you got a great family. What can I tell you? So it's just, I'm sorry we're almost out of time, but if you ever come back on the show, I would love for you to tell the monkey milk story, because that's, of all your stories, I never get tired of hearing that one. And it's such a delightful story how you turn the tables on some of your trickster firefighter brothers. But I learned some new things tonight, especially I didn't know you played poker, because so do I. So hopefully one day, when we're together, we can do that.
I would love that. Texas No Limit. Texas No Limit Hold'em, man.
Okay, but I played poker with Howard Lyman last year at Summerfest, and that was really one of the highlights of that venue for me too, because I just love playing poker with you guys. So
and Howard Lyman is supposed to be an amazing poker player. I think he put himself through college or a graduate school by playing poker, and one of his sons
is a professional poker player.
Professional poker player, exactly.
It's such a joy to play with him. So Rip, thank you. I can't believe this went so quickly. Thank you so much for being on the show. And if you'd like to just one more time say your website, how people can subscribe to your blog or find out about these wonderful live events you're doing, just one more time, maybe give the website before we say goodnight.
Yeah, I'd love to. Just go to engine2.com. And then in the menu, click events. And, we also have our Engine 2 Facebook page. We have Instagram. We have Pinterest. We have our support, our online support community, Engine 2 Extra. And AJ, I just want to say how awesome it's been knowing you now for a good 6-7 years. And congratulations on all your success. You are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being on Healthy Living. I'm Chef AJ. And I make healthy taste delicious. Thanks, Rip, and thanks, everyone, for listening. Good night, y'all.
Good night.